Welcome to the Jewels for Life podcast, The Vantage Point. I'm your host, Azandi,
And I'm your host, Kiana.
and as you know, we are the Righteous Jewels. Today, we have with us a very special guest. Um, Sis, I don't know about you, but I feel like this season so far, we spoke a lot to the mind from a psychological perspective. We spoke about energy and physically, the body from anatomy and physiology perspective, and so many other things. But rarely did we really get into a person's journey in depth. We touched on it, but we didn't really get in depth into how the individual came to their final product or what we see as the final product as we bring them onto the show. And so today, we felt it was important to take a look at your journey. Today, we have with us Dr. Faraj Hasan, and his journey is very unique, is very special, and I think that we need to understand how he's accomplished the things that he's accomplished, the many stages that he went through. Especially us in the West, we study Egyptology, some of us, and some people just don't even get a chance to travel. So we're going off of what we see online, we're going off of what other people's stories of what they tell us. But today we have someone who's been there. Today we have someone who's been all around the world and is still traveling now. He is a reciter, a Muslim reciter. He is a dental student, and he is also a chef. So we're working with a lot today. So we're going to go ahead and get started because we have about an hour to dig in. And Sis, you want to kick it off for us?
Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Well, thank you for coming on to the Vantage Point and blessing us with your presence, Dr. Hasan.
Thank you for having
So,
me.
of course, of course. So, we want to get started and let the listeners in on a little bit of your life story. We know that originally you were born in Newark, New Jersey, and then you moved to Egypt. Can you let us know what age were you when you moved to Egypt, and how was that experience there?
So I was about 6 years old, and I remember my father and mother put all our toys out in the backyard for like a yard sale, and I would run in the backyard and grab my toys and put it back in the house. Like, what are y'all doing, right? And then after a while, they just got rid of everything. And I remember we packed up all these bags and we were in the car, and my whole family was outside on the street waving bye bye. We'll see you. I don't know when we're gonna see you again. And I'm like, I'll be back. Don't worry. They're crying and stuff. So we went to this place called Egypt, and I'm just like, wow, like it's real dusty. The infrastructure, the buildings look different, the people look different. They're speaking a language that I don't understand. It was foreign, but it was fun because I was able to go outside. I had a little bit more freedom. In America, I was just in the backyard or at my cousin's house, but there I just had so much more freedom. So that was the initial stage of me going to Egypt.
When did you begin to feel the freedom aspect? Because at first it was seen as if it's overwhelming, especially because you're like, okay, what is this? Like you said, it was foreign to you. So how long did it take for you to get adjusted?
Instantly, I was just able to go outside. I didn't understand the language. That took about 2 years before I was able to speak and comprehend 100%. Um, but I guess because it was an Islamic country, my father just automatically felt safe to let his children roam the streets. And I remember in my backyard, I used to like catching insects, you know. And out there they had dragonflies, frogs, lizards, and I was just like into that stuff, and I had so much fun.
Definitely, definitely. So, since we're talking about your experience in Egypt and how it took you some time to get used to the language, Arabic. You're fluent in Arabic. What about the monuments out there? What's the experience? You said the structure is different. So let us know your experience as far as the different structures and the monuments you visit while you were there.
So as far as the buildings, in America, we have these the houses have like the roof that's kind of like a triangle shape. Um, Mostly the buildings downtown Newark are like stories. Like you could have like 50 floors. So most of the infrastructure for the houses over there were like the buildings downtown Newark, like like Howard Street.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as far as like Egyptian infrastructure, like history, I went to see the pyramids. That was about it. I got some
That was my
pictures.
next question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
So you went to see the pyramids, right?
yeah.
And everybody wants to go see the pyramids. As
Mhm.
a young boy at that time, what was it like going to see the pyramids? You're looking around and you're seeing so many different things, and the skin complexion is the same as yours. What was the thoughts that ran through your head? Because at that time, I don't know if you were looking at it the same as you're looking at it now from like a Islamic perspective, because you're older now, you're more knowledgeable. But as a young boy, how did that resonate with you?
Well, actually, Egyptian skin complexion didn't resonate with me. They were much lighter than we were. When I went to the pyramids, it was more like, wow, look at these tall triangle looking things. Oh, I want to ride the camel. I was little, maybe 6 or 7 years old when I went for the first time. So it was just like, wow, what is this? This is amazing. Let's take some pictures. Nothing really, I never heard of the pyramids before. It was just my first time going. My dad was like, let's go. We went with a bunch of friends, and that was it. But
Hmm.
as I started to learn about Egyptian history in Arabic, it started to make sense. I was like, okay, so those things that I went to before were graves, or this is where the pharaohs went, in this year, such and such, like that.
Okay. Okay. So that's exciting because I do want to go to the pyramids to just check out the different symbolisms that's in there and just see the
Mhm.
structure itself. So I will definitely be taking a trip soon, but maybe you could show us around since that's your home.
Got you.
So let's fast forward a little bit. You're in Egypt. You were born in Newark. You
Hmm.
left at 6 years old to go to Egypt. How long were you in Egypt before you moved back to New Jersey?
10 years.
10 years. Okay, so you're in Egypt for 10 years. So now you're 16 years old. You're
Yes.
fluent in Arabic.
Hmm.
You know that you basically grew up there and you're
Hmm.
coming back to New Jersey. Can you
Right.
tell us what that experience for you was like?
It was so warm. I couldn't wait to get back and see my grandmother, my family, everything that I knew when I was young. I felt like in Egypt, I didn't have a sense of belonging to something. There wasn't people out there that looked like us, that really cared about us, other than my immediate family. Um, I missed my family so much, so it's just like, man, I'm home and I'm never leaving again. Um, as far as um, like adapting, I must say I had like a culture shock. Certain things that I have seen, I was just like, it's no way that this could be happening. I went to a school where there was a bunch of gangs, and you have Bloods and Crips, and I'm just like, these people fighting over colors, like, that- you know. I just didn't understand it at the time. I remember when I went to the school in Irvington called Irvington Alternative High School, and the principal of the school said, "Hey man, this is a nice blue jacket, but I don't think you should wear that around here." I'm like, I'm cold, man. Like, like I gotta go buy a whole different jacket just because the circumstances. But that's just what it was. I remember walking in the hallway, and there were a bunch of Crips there, and they're like, I would call, "Hey, bro." I would be like, "What's up, bro?" And they'd be like, "Don't call me bro." Like just stuff that I had to understand, that I felt like it was nonsense. But when I think of it right now, and I'm just like, okay, that was just respect. Um, if that's how they want to be treated or be called, that's what it was. But I was so innocent, and I think both sides kind of understood. So they would defend me like, bro, he don't know any better. Like, let him alone. So it was just a bunch of cultural shock when I first got back. Even dressing, like I remember we had very baggy pants and big 5X t-shirts and
Yeah. hmm
the
Oh yeah,
music. And it was just that was the thing.
But how
And
did you dress in Egypt before you came and made that transition?
it was more like Italian attire because they kind of wear like tighter jeans, tighter shirts. And my cousin was like, "Nah, you can't, you can't wear that around here."
I
Well,
took
it's
that
funny
off.
because now that's what we wear now, tighter clothes.
yeah, yeah, and how
Yes.
that changes.
Yes. So I want to go back for just a second before we even get back over here. I wanted to stay in Egypt for a second, just for
Okay.
my own sake. If you don't mind, I'm gonna just shift us and then we'll come back because you said something, and I'm just trying to make sure I'm understanding properly. When you said the people, it didn't resonate with you when you went to the pyramids because you seen a lighter skin complexion.
Mhm.
Now, from what I've seen online, right, I see bodies that are dark, dark, dark pigment that is still intact. You're able to still see the facial features. You're still able to see the body has been reserved for an enormous amount of
Oh, so
time.
you're talking about the statues and stuff like that.
Yeah, inside the pyramid, as you walked around, as you seen these things, and you seen people that look like you, and they created the pyramids. How
Mhm.
did that resonate with you, opposed to the people that lived in that area?
Okay, so at that age, I didn't really understand what I was looking at.
Okay.
When I looked at the Sphinx for the first time, I noticed that the nose wasn't on it. Um, I didn't go inside the pyramids, but I noticed that a lot of the statues didn't have the noses on there. Um, I didn't understand that until later,
Mhm.
um, and I learned that the noses were chopped off for whatever reason. But when I just came back actually from Egypt, and I just had a different, I guess, attitude when I looked at the history this time. I was just like, wow,
What's
you
the
know,
difference now?
I understand what's going on. You see the noses and you just like, wow, they did that to try to erase our history. Or um, you see that even now, like even gentrification, it's just like always trying to get rid of us.
Hmm.
So it's saddening, but it's just reality.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely is reality.
Mhm.
So I don't know, sis. You got any? All of my questions are for over
Yes.
here.
Oh, no, I'm just loading it up because
Yeah.
you traveled, you were able to see, you seen people over there, their mentality, how they behave, how they interact with each other, and you were here. And then I know now you're traveling around the world. So did it give you a better understanding of the way people think, in these different regions?
Okay, this is gonna hit hard a little bit, but it's reality.
Okay, give it
So
to me.
when I was young, I remember going to school, me and Mansoor, my little brothers, and kids would just make fun of us. And they would say things like, "Hey hey chocolate boy, ha ha ha." Or "Hey Sudanese, hey Nigerian, hey Africano,
Mm,
why you so dark?" Stuff like that. And as a kid, I'm just like, why are you like, why are you saying this to me? Like, I didn't understand it. It didn't make me hate myself, but I was just like, why are these people making fun of us? And there were some Egyptians who are as dark as me and my siblings, but for some reason, I didn't think that they went through the same thing. I guess maybe they had smaller noses. I don't know what it was, but
mm,
they kind of just knew that we weren't from there.
mm,
Even though I speak the language now, I can get in the cab over there and just start speaking Arabic, and they'll look at me like, "You're not from here." There's something
mm.
about the facial structures, or they have a certain look, you know. So I remember having been like, I was just so fed up with it, so I was just start fighting everybody. Me and my brothers, we just after school we just fight, and we kind of like gained some respect, but that was just in school. Then when I walked home, I had to deal with it. Whenever I got in the cab, I had to deal with it. Whenever I went anywhere, I just had to deal with it. I'll get in the cab and they'll be like, "Where you from?" I'll be like, "America." They be like, "No, you're not from America."
Mhm.
I'm like, "I'm from America." And they're like, "Where's your dad from?" America. Where's his dad from? It was just so annoying,
It's like,
Mm.
you know. But we dealt with it and we learned how to just, I guess, cope and not get angry all the time. You know, yeah.
so did you deal with that? And then you could jump in, sis. I'm sorry. I just
Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
because
Because I got some questions loaded up
because
too.
for me it's interesting because it's like you went there, right? And how did they treat you? Because it's like you kind of had to maybe deal with it on both sides. So were they more welcoming in that aspect, or you like, damn, if I'm over there, I'm getting treated like this. If I'm over here, I'm getting treated like, you know what I mean? How did you take internalize that?
Um, I think for the most part, Egyptians were very, very nice to me. And I think that the kids, they would just, kids gonna make fun of you. You got preschoolers, you got first graders, they're just mean. They don't know why they're doing it. Anything that's weird, if I come to the school, I'm in first grade wearing a helmet, they're gonna laugh at me because I got a helmet on. So I don't think that they knew that it was racism. It was just different. And they used it as a mechanism to laugh or whatever. And we didn't like it. But if I go over there now, I don't think, well, I guess I'll get treated in a different manner. It won't be like, "Hey, Blackie, ha ha ha." It'll be like, "You can't marry my daughter because you black." What I'm saying? It'll be like something like that.
Still nothing
Um,
about racism.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Mm.
Mm.
So no matter where you go in the globe, we're not treated like superior or even equal. We kind of we kind of like second guessed and looked at like we're, what's the word, like less than,
Inferior.
inferior. Like even now, like if I walk into the clinic and I'm about to treat a patient, they're like, "Where's the doctor?"
Mm.
Mm.
you
Wow.
know
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and it comes to a point where I went to a dentist in New Jersey, and he was an African American dentist. He walked in the room and I'm just like, "Where's the doctor?" So it becomes systemic in a sense because I've never seen a black doctor before. I'm used to black people being basketball players, rappers, um, and lawyers. What you see,
Mm-hmm.
in your community. But I never seen a black doctor before, and actually, that dentist is the reason why I'm in dental school now.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Wow.
So it's weird
Mm-hmm.
how things happen, but yeah.
How does
Wow.
that play a role with with recitation? If and tell me if it's a different term. I should be using different terminology. But as a African, um, or African American, however you want to categorize it, man, how are you treated? Because a lot of times, as a Muslim, they may see Arab, reciters or Arabs leading in prayer or whatever it is. So how are you treated coming from that perspective of traveling the world and you being the one leading prayer? We seen you on TV in New York recently. And so that is a whole different paradigm. It's a whole different shift. Did people treat you different? How does that take place?
I think it's more like, "Wow, what an amazing voice! Who is that? Let me go to the front." No way. Kind of like that.
Mm.
You know, kind of like it's not like um because after that it's like, how do you treat this individual? It's like he just led prayer. I can't disrespect him, or I don't know. But it's not, I guess if I walked into a chicken shack, right?
Mhm.
And I guess I was looking like a bum or whatever. I've heard people from the Arab world mistreat or say things that weren't nice, to customers. And I'm just standing and listening, like, "Bro, you didn't have to really say that." And then I'll say something in Arabic, and they be like, "Oh my God, I didn't mean it like that."
Mm.
But
He
why you
definitely.
have to act that way? Yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So when you're because we know you lead prayer and your voice is beautiful. I mean, if you want to, go ahead and recite on our podcast today, we won't stop you. We won't stop you. But we definitely have been following you, and your voice is really amazing.
Thank you.
So no problem. So as far as we know that you do also teach children, or in your early 20s, you were teaching children at the mosque. So can you tell us a little bit about that? Are you still teaching the youth today?
I'm not teaching currently, but I did teach in my 20s because it was just an easy way for me to make a few dollars. I was in Union County College. The mosque was close to the school, and I would just walk up the block, go teach, and then go home. So yeah.
Okay. So when you were teaching the children, where did you get that? Do you feel like you got that same response from the children? Like, where's the teacher when they saw you?
No, most of my students were African American,
Okay.
so it was just like, I guess, just regular. It
Gotcha.
wasn't.
Well, first off, tell us how old you were when you started reciting, please, before we even, because our audience doesn't know, we didn't give them that part of the story. So, how long have you been reciting for?
Since I was about, I guess, 5 or 6, my mother taught me early. The little surahs, the little chapters from the Quran. Um, I didn't know my voice was significant or anything until I moved to Egypt, and the neighbors would come and knock on our door and be like, "Who is that?" Like, and I think my voice was much sweeter, before the bass kicked in from maturity. Um,
Right.
so it was really, really beautiful. Yeah, I
Okay.
actually miss my voice.
You do your thing though. You definitely do your thing. So your mom influenced, that part. So does she also recite now, or she's just, the voice behind you?
She recites. She
Okay.
recites all the time. Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. So let's skip over into, you're a student, you're a dental student,
Yes.
and you're also a chef,
Hmm.
as well as you're reciting. But as far as the different, your background, living in Egypt, living in New Jersey, living, in the US and Egypt, back and forth, what type of food are you serving? Do you do like catering? What type of food are you cooking, specialize in?
So my favorite dish to cook, which people buy, are the quesadillas, tacos, lamb chops, mashed potatoes, macaroni and cheese. Just stuff that Americans like. And I do that to make a few dollars while I'm here at the university. Yeah.
Okay. So, with you being a chef and you being a student and you reciting leading prayer, how
Hmm.
do you do all of this? I know you have to be dedicated to in order to have a schedule lined up to have time for each and every one. So, how do you structure your lifestyle with all these different things that you're attached to?
Um. So I started off with the recitation during COVID. So everything was from the home. Everything was virtual. I shouldn't be saying this, but while classes were going on, I was probably making Quran videos and posting them, and then I'll go back and listen to the lecture later. Um, as far as cooking, um, I would I would go and buy the groceries, and then I would post what I want to cook and tell people to pre-order. This way, I'm not wasting my time. I'll have my orders already in, and I'll go make, I guess, 10 orders or 20 orders, and that's it. But it wasn't like I was just an open restaurant and people ordered whenever they wanted to. So that's how I managed the cooking aspect of it. Um, and then after a while, I started off on TikTok. So I had a bunch of videos. This is way before Instagram. So when Instagram came, I was just taking all my TikTok videos. It looks like I'm in Mexico or wherever, but I was just taking all the old videos and reposting them on Instagram. And the Instagram started growing, and that's how I make it look easy. I'm just using a bunch of old videos, but Quran doesn't get old.
Okay, wait a second. Wait a second, because we're speaking about the cooking, right? So I'll stay here for a second. I think we're acting like it's normal that men cook? You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Because a lot of men don't cook, just to be honest, you know.
Mhm.
So did you teach yourself? Who taught you how to cook? What age did you start cooking? And because we're talking about the making of a man from childhood, transitioning to different phases, learning to recite, now learning to cook. So was this a part of your growth as a young boy, or did you learn when you got older, taught yourself how to cook based on your circumstance?
I learned when I was younger. I remember for a while we lived with our dad, and my mother was in America, so I had to fend for my little brothers and sisters. I would cook stuff like Egyptian fava beans, eggs. I burnt a few pots of rice in my day, but it was like trial and error. And then I started to add my own little flavor to it. You know, add a little salt. Let's put pepper this time. Let's add a little curry. Oh, that turns it yellow. Cool. You know, until I just made my own recipes and just knew how to just season, knew how much salt to put. And it just got better and better. And over COVID, it was in my bag.
Hey, yeah. And the meals, they are like gourmet meals. You would think, you went
Yeah.
to school for this. It looks so good.
I
So
wish we could bring it up on the
I
screen.
know, I know
All
that would
about the
be.
presentation and the lighting and yeah.
And your little, you got little perks on the decorations on the plate
Right.
and things like
Right.
Right.
that. And so
I think
creative.
it's a woman helping you. Do you have a woman? Are you married? Like, what's going on? Because it has to be
I'm
So we
definitely
want
married,
the
but that has nothing to do with her. I promise.
you're like, I'm not giving credit. I'm not giving credit to my wife. Okay, so you are married.
Yes.
Okay, and does your wife recite and cook gourmet meals and
Yeah.
travel?
She cooks better than me.
Yeah. Okay, you don't want to
Yeah.
get in trouble.
Uh,
There you go. There you go. So you have a huge following. You have a huge following, because we have been following you for a while. So let our listeners know, for the people who you started over at TikTok,
mhm.
and then you transitioned from TikTok to Instagram.
Yes.
Is that how the process went? So when did you notice that you started getting, a huge amount of following, and what do you think you did to get that?
And what is your
I
following?
don't think I did anything to be honest. I think it's all from God. Um, People tend to flock towards religious things, food, just things that people can relate to in their lives. And I think, well, I know that God has blessed me with this voice, and I don't think I understand the uniqueness of it, to be honest. But people tend to just enjoy it. They say that it's very soothing. Um, so it's certain chapters in the Quran which everybody knows, right? And I started off with my TikTok just posting those verses, and they just would share them and repost them and comment and like, and it just grew and grew and grew by itself. I really had nothing to do with that, you know. Um, and I think it was also at a time where not Snapchat, TikTok was just booming. It was the thing. The algorithm was beautiful. Um, until it got to 1.5 million. And then I just was like, you know what? I need to take this over to Instagram. So I started telling my followers that I'm over on Instagram, come over. Here's the link. And just started with Reels. So I hopped on a Reel game early, and I noticed that Reels would go more viral than posts or pictures
Mm-hmm.
or stories.
Mm-hmm.
And I capitalized off of that, and I'm at like 300K.
Yeah, 326,000
To be exact.
to be exact.
Yeah.
That's
So
amazing.
Kiana alluded to this, so I think it's really that time. We're putting you on the spot. We normally don't do this, so please forgive us. Would you like to share? Because we've been talking about this beautiful voice and how soothing it is and all of
Mhm.
this. So, do you mind sharing that with our audience today?
Sure. I'll recite a chapter from the Quran, the first chapter called Al Fatiha, which is the opening.
Okay.
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
Hmm. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. So how many surahs do you know?
Man, it's kind of hard to say how many surahs, but let's say the Quran is broken into 30 chapters. I would say I know about maybe 5 by heart and then like all over the place. Yeah.
Okay, I asked that because it has to take a certain amount of discipline to learn the surahs or to even just sit down and recite. And you know what I mean? Most people your age may be doing a bunch of other things, a lot of partying, but you were able to discipline yourself through these many stages in your life. Can you just share with us how you created that discipline for yourself and now you seeing the benefits from it?
Um, well, Quran was always a part of me. And I think my parents instilled it in me from young because they will always play it throughout the house. They will always recite it. I remember seeing my mother sitting on the bed just reciting like all day, just trying to learn these chapters that like you said, it takes so much discipline, and she would just recite it and look at the translation and try to incorporate it in her life. My dad would recite certain verses all the time in prayer or on certain days of the week or when he was fasting. And seeing these things, I just learned to, you kind of want to be like your parents in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I just kind of took on that trait of just reciting. So whenever I was stressed, I didn't run to drink some alcohol or smoke. I would just recite, and it would really just soothe me. When I was happy, whenever I'm sad, I just recite. And I noticed that my recitation will also help others. So I remember when my mother was sad or my dad was sad, I would just recite and it would calm them as well. So I felt like my voice needed to be heard, and that God gave me a gift, and it would be selfish for me to just keep it to myself. And another thing, I didn't want to like recite to show off or to brag because I felt like, this is a gift. This is nothing to really brag about. It's godly. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, so I was like debating with myself. Should I publicize this or should I just keep it to myself? People know I recite in the community, but do I really want it to be on a big scale like that? I don't want it to get to my head because if I'm doing it, everything is we judged upon our intentions. So if I started reciting just to get fame, then what's the point of all of this?
Mm-hmm.
Or for my scale, for my hereafter.
Right. So once you graduate and become a dentist, as you're aspiring to be, the reciting, this, are you saying that reciting is something that you're going to do forever?
Yes,
That's just the end goal?
yes.
Okay, okay. So that's what, here, and many times I have said it throughout our podcast, whenever you're indulged in something, normally there's different avenues that you go in where you want to take it to the next level. So where do you see this reciting going for you, or are you just going to allow it to take you where it takes you?
Um, I would like to memorize the whole Quran one day. Hopefully, I can create some type of financial freedom through my career at some point after we pay off these student loans and whatever else whatever other expenses that I have. Um, I want to encourage others to recite, to learn the Quran. I want to open Quranic schools. I want to have big Quran competitions across the globe that are known as Recite with Me Quran competition.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So that's why I see myself going with the recite with me LLC. I just want I want it to be universal.
Mm.
I want it to be for everyone. Muslims and non-Muslims can listen to it, can be involved. Um, that's my vision.
Okay, now, and we are, nearing the end of the show pretty soon, but I just had a few more questions. You said you want to make this global in different parts of the world, but I feel like a lot of times people in the West, people in America, they have a false impression of Africa,
Hmm.
right? The way
Hmm.
that Africa is showcased makes it like this place that's not developed, a bunch of just poverty and hungry kids with flies around them, right? So
Hmm.
this is what we see. But you've been to many different parts in Africa, Alexandria, etc. And so, can you tell us from your perspective? Can you tell people what it's like there and kind of dead that false notion that Africa is this wild place?
Okay, so TV is really not good because TV paints this picture for many for many things that aren't true. From the news. The news is exaggerated. Um, you when you watch movies and the Egypt scene comes up, all you see is the pyramids, like you said, flies, poverty. But that's not the case. They have developing cities. There's people in America with flies around them or living in trailer homes and whatnot.
Yeah.
Um, for some reason, I guess a lot of these there are like organizations out there that try to raise money. So they'll post a commercial on TV with some African kid with flies on his face for their benefit. But they won't show you, the good side or what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
I think that's why a lot of the stuff is showcased for the benefit of whoever's showcasing it. But I haven't been to Gambia. Before you even get to these poor villages, you got to pass through a city. There's
Mhm.
cars, there's infrastructure, there's businesses and jobs. It might, the culture might look a little different. The fashion is different, but they're thriving. It's a poor country compared to the United States, but they're getting there. You know.
Definitely.
Mhm.
Definitely. Okay. So, you know what? We are nearing the end of the episode, but you definitely have a lot of things going on, and we commend you for, all the hard work you're doing and the dedication it takes to accomplish all the things you have accomplished so far and what you're working to accomplish. So we do appreciate you coming on here. But before, anything, we do want you to let our listeners know where can they find you, where can they order a play, where can they, find you to recite and do these things.
So if you type in Dr. Faraj Hassan on any platform, on Google, I should come up. Dr. Dot Faraj Hassan at gmail.com. Dr. Dot Faraj Hassan, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, everything is the same name.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yes.
And also, if you're in Nashville, that's where you probably can get a plate. Just message me on Chef Hurrah. So that's Chef Hurra. And that's Instagram, and I'll take care of you.
Okay.
Thank you
Okay.
for coming on. Since before you wrap up, I just want to say thank you for coming on. Hopefully we can have you back because there's a lot of things that we didn't get to cover, especially when it comes to just language and you speaking these many different languages, maybe traveling around and hearing people talk about you and they don't know that you understand,
Right.
to so many different other things and just what you're able to do and how far it takes you. So hopefully maybe we can have you back on in the future
I would love to be
for a
back.
different episode, but we do appreciate you gracing us with your presence. I want to commend you on your great works and you going around to these different places and dealing with the children because we know that they are the future. And and the doctor, that's a big thing. You may be the first in your family to ever be a doctor. Who knows? So I think that's definitely worth the acknowledgement. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes.
Of course, of course. And to the listeners out there, we hope you were inspired, from, a man who has been born one place, has moved to a different country, learned the language, and moved back, and still as successful as he is and working to accomplish so much more. It really is an inspiration. I hope you all were inspired, and definitely check him out. You know, his Instagram, his Facebook is below, as well as his website. So again, thank you for joining us today on the Vantage Point with the Righteous Jules. As always, love is love. Peace.
Peace.